hours that I have here, so yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone. I know it's 2:02. I like to start our meetings, our sessions right on time. Well, we have our famous Gerry Nix on the call. Gerry, how you doing?
Doing good.
Look at all those plaques in the back, guys. Is he bold or is he bold, right?
Oh, I really got to step up my game. Look at this. I have no plaques back here.
You definitely do, Louis. I hate to say it, my man, but we definitely do. And we have Louis Palacios on the call. Thank you so much, Louis, for being part of this. And then Fernando Diaz as well. So let's get started, guys. I'm very excited. And I just want to get a different perspective and utilizing an effective approach and what an agent looks for when working with the lender. So before we get started, let's go with Gerry. Just give us a 30 seconds bio of yourself.
Thank you very much for that. Been in the business about 15 years. Solo agent with administrative staff, and we've been doing good. What else? How much more you need?
So you say you've been in the industry. How long in the industry?
About 15 years, yeah.
15 years.
14 All right. I think 14.
Awesome. Good. That's quite some time. 15 years in the industry. Awesome. That question to you, Louis. How long? Give us a little 30-second bio of yourself.
Yeah. Thanks, Simon. Been in the industry for about 3.5 years now. We've done about 38 deals, just under 22 mil. So very proud of the work we've done, but we have a long way to get to Gerry Nix status, but we're getting there.
All right.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Louis, for sharing. And then Fernando, tell us a little quick bio of yourself, just for the people that may not know who Fernando is.
Hey guys, how are you? Well, I've been doing this 26 years, so this is my 26th year, I should say. This is the only thing I've done since I graduated college. It has been a phenomenal, run, unbelievable career, I should say. But I'm out, so I'll see you guys later. Bye. Just kidding. No. I'm retiring. No. But no, it's been a wonderful career, guys. It's given me more than I've ever dreamed, and it's been a wonderful 26 years. And I love what I do. And I also enjoy, being around these agents and the people that I work with closely. We have a lot of fun, and it definitely keeps me on my toes, keeps me going.
Absolutely. And Fernando, what is the company you work for?
Homebridge Financial.
Homebridge. Okay, just again for the people that may know the lending company that you are with. So thank you, Fernando, for sharing. All right, so one of the key avenues of what I wanted to bring to the table is, and Louis as a phenomenal agent and Gerry Nix as well, is, what are you looking for? And I'm going to throw this at Louis. What are you looking for when working with a lender?
I think first and foremost is communication, not only just with myself, but with our clients. And I think Fernando does an incredible job of making sure that any question or concerns that our clients have, he's addressing them in a timely fashion. He's in constant communication with them and makes them feel very comfortable throughout the whole process. It's a very daunting process, as you guys all know. So, making sure that their hands are being held and questions are being answered, as well as options. I think a lot of buyers are very wary of going into, the home buying process, and giving them a lot of options, whether it be, different types of down payments and what those mortgages look like, impounds, all that stuff is, even what certain vocabulary means, what impounds mean, what property taxes look like. So I think that's huge, is giving them options, and communication is probably key for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Louis. What about you, Gerry? Same question.
I'm sorry, what's the question again?
The question is, what do you look for when working with a lender? What are some of the key aspects that make you want to go back with the same lender?
Well, you're looking for somebody that can get a job done. I think Fernando is proving to be that person. We just had a recent closing. The buyer had been two other escrows and fell out because the financing could not be done. And so I say, you know what? I have a great lender. Why don't you at least talk to him and see what he can do? And he took over the paper and say, yeah, Gerry, we can get this done. And we got it done rather smoothly too. So that's really the key. You want somebody that can close the deal. When you take a look at the paperwork, it will tell you this is doable this way or that way. And that's my thing.
Yeah, to piggyback off what Gerry's saying, I completely agree. And I should have also said that is, Fernando and I have definitely ran into a couple hiccups, but having someone who can look at the file ahead of time, know if we're going to run into any speed bumps or, know looking into the future what could happen, I think that's huge as well. And it helps the client out tremendously.
And that's a very good, valid point, because you want a lender that actually can dissect and analyze the situation, right? Before going, because let's be honest and transparent here, folks. How many times, and I'm going based on, the agents that have been doing this for quite some time, you have a great conversation with a lender and they promise you the world, right? But they underdeliver when they get you into escrow, go through the initial process, and all of a sudden they say, you know what? Unfortunately, this buyer cannot qualify. And the reason is because the lender was not really diligent in their position from the very beginning. And this is where you need an experienced support factor, an experienced lender that understands the dynamics, 2 steps ahead of the game, analyzing the circumstances, gathering all the information. So that leads me to Fernando. Fernando, what do you look like? What do you look for in a agent or a realtor?
Well, I think that both of these guys, Lewis, I've gotten to know him since he was at his previous office at the Beach City office, and also Gerry and I. Gerry and I's relationship, just so that you guys know, it's fairly recent. I mean, I would say, Gerry, about 6 months? We've really been starting going and working together pretty well. So I think it took time, for him to find me and me to find him, sort of say, but, we seem to jive together and work. What I would say that the 2 main characteristics that I enjoy with these guys, they're different, first of all, but Gerry's, on his side, because obviously he has more experience, he's very savvy. When I say, hey, this is what I think, or a potential solution, a lot of times he's already saying, hey, Fernando, what do you think of this as an option or as a solution? So he's already thinking ahead. And, a lot of times he's right. That is a potential way to go, or a potential avenue to fix the issue or fix the problem. So he's very savvy when it comes to problem solving. He's either experienced it in the past and or, came up with a good solution. Lewis also, on the other hand, I will say that one of the big or the strong points that he has is the clients are literally the expectation that he sets up, and there's no I'm not searching for them. I'm not looking for them. They're looking for me, or we just handle the appointment. They get done. Lewis already knows they qualify. He already knows that, hey, they have money or the parents are behind them. He knows they have co-signers. He knows that the payment expectations per month are set up correctly for the sales prices they're looking at. So on my side, it makes my job pretty easy because, they're already walking into something that they already have a pretty good idea of what they're walking into. So it flows. Yeah.
And that's a valid point. There's a flow to it. And it's funny that you say that, Fernando, because I did have a conversation with Lewis yesterday, and I asked him this question, what do you do? Do you do the initial screening of the buyer before you even actually send them to a lender? And I'm gonna go 24 years. When I started in real estate, I was just excited when someone says, I want to buy something. I would just send them to the lender without doing the pre-screening. So I'm going to throw it back at Lewis. What is your process looks before you even bother to give someone to the lender? What do you do with the actual consultation of a buyer?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, buyer consultation is all encompassing. We're going through, you guys all know what a buyer consultation should look like. But one of the most important aspects is getting those finances out of the way and those uncomfortable conversations that you have to have with your client, right? FICO scores, what do you have in savings? If your parents are helping, how much are they helping with? So I ask all those very important questions prior to sending them to Fernando, so that I can give Fernando a heads up. Hey, look, this is what the blueprint looks like. They're going to come to you, and then, we can kind of take it from there. But, I definitely think it's very important asking, what your income looks like. Are you W-2? Are you 1099? How long have you been 1099? What do your deductions look like on your returns? All those are very important questions to ask. And it helps me look at the entire picture and allow myself to be a better buyer's agent when I'm, setting forth these offers.
Awesome, Louis. So what you're saying is you don't just throw them to a lender. Here, Fernando, see if he qualifies. If they do qualify, send them back to me.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Good. Same question to you, Gerry. What does your buyer consultation look like when screening potential buyers?
Well, I actually used to kind of do that before, where I meet the buyer and say, okay, let me connect with a lender that can help you out. And I had a coaching call a long time ago that tells me, hey, you are all about setting appointments. Don't set your appointment for somebody else. Make your appointment your own appointment first. And then when they trust you, then you hand them to somebody that can help them finish up. So that's kind of my motto. If I had a buyer, we're going to do a consultation like I'm the lender, and I get all the details on them, know where they are. I've kind of taken time to educate myself on different programs that's available. So when I'm coming to a lender like Fernando, like, okay, I think this is what we have with this one here. What do you think about this and think about that? So it helps the lender to say, okay, we can go this direction or that direction. Most of my files, a lot of people, I think there's an inside joke like, Gerry's clients are tough to deal with. But they really are not. It's really just finding out where people need help and helping them and getting them somebody that can help them, make it, happen. That's all.
Yeah, I will say that Gerry's clients, definitely some of them are a little bit, the files might be challenging, or, to a certain extent or not. But I will say that I enjoy the challenge. To me, if it's going to be a peanut butter, easy deal, don't get me wrong, that's great. But mentally, you're not really working hard to try to, figure out a solution here. But that's not to say it, because he also has other clients that are very clean, great income. It's almost like a no-brainer, shall we say? So that's definitely a big plus, obviously, on our side. But I do like to be challenged, that's for sure. Just not too much, just a little bit. Don't overdo it. You're wearing me out.
No, and that's awesome, Fernando. Thank you for sharing that, because it's very important that a very diligent lender understands the dynamics of, a high price point client, very clean FICO score, proof of funds, great job. Those are the gravy ones, right? Slam dunk, underwriter approval. But it's the ones that are challenging. Maybe they have a great job, maybe they have great income, but maybe they have a little bit of discrepancy on their credit, their FICO scores, and this is what alters their position from getting a better rate and in certain conditions. And knowing how to have those conversations and tweaking them, maybe sending them to a company that can help them increase their FICO scores. And this is where you need that partnership, the team aspect of it, from an agent and an agent to a lender and a lender to an agent, because those are dynamics. Maybe at the time they don't qualify, right? But who knows, in 6 months from now, they may qualify, or sooner. But it's being connected with them. And this is, again, going back to the avenue of connecting the right lender and the right agent, because it's a give and take, right? And it's a contribute of both the agent, but it's also a contribute of the lender, and being in sync with one another. Okay.
And I will say, to your point, guys, today, especially being out there and in such a competitive market, being with a lender that is either known by the agents or extremely savvy, knows the business, knows what to say to the listing agents or what they want to hear. Obviously, I'm not saying you're lying. Please do not do that, because that'll get you in trouble. But just being straightforward on expectations is huge. I have deals right now that have gotten in that the clients won, and there were anywhere in the 30s to over 40 offers on the transaction. Both of them were FHA. Both of them we got into escrow. I knew all the agents involved in terms of the listing agents. They knew me or of me, and I knew them, and that was a huge help to get our offer over the top when you have that many offers. And that's, by the way, that's constantly happening out there. There's so many offers on all these properties. It's crazy. So I think that's been a plus. I know Lewis, he's used that a few times. He's gotten a few deals in because he knew that the listing agent worked with me. So that, he played that to his advantage.
Yeah, and to Fernando's point, that's exactly right. I mean, we've gotten a couple offers, quite a few offers accepted because they knew Fernando and they had a relationship already, or they've worked with him in the past. And then another note to make is I think it's very important to set that expectation with the buyer during that consultation. A buyer might think like, oh, great, interest rates are at 3%, and that's what I'm going to get. Having those conversations and vetting those buyers are very important, because you as an agent have to set the expectation, before they even get to Fernando. What if they have student loans, they have a bunch of debt? Those ratios can completely throw off their interest rate. So when they go to Fernando, they're like, wait, my interest rate is 3.25. It's 3% right now. What's going on? And so having those conversations, and sometimes often tough conversations, are really important before they get to Fernando.
Awesome. And going back and piggyback of what Fernando was saying, aligning yourself with the right people, right? And Fernando has been embedded in the South Bay for many, many, many years. So he does have a lot of relationships. So use that as a platform, as an advantage. He's like a rock star. As soon as you submit the offer with the pre-qual letter and it says Fernando Diaz with Homebridge, there you go. It's a slam dunk. And again, going back to what Lewis was saying and Gerry was saying, aligning yourself with the right key players that will ultimately help you leverage yourself to get your offers accepted because of what we're dealing right now, right? I mean, there's so many buyers, very low inventory. It's just crazy bananas of what we're seeing right now. But how do you position yourself to have those ability to get your offer considered? Now, another thing that Lewis said was spot on was the mere fact is communications, right? Making sure that you have dialogue with the listing agent, asking the right questions, because that'll also get your foot inside and the ability to ultimately get something that is in good terms with your buyers and they're good, and now beating some of the other offers, because it's not always, guys, about the highest price point. It's also terms and conditions that will ultimately get you where you need to go. So I'm going to throw this at Gerry. One of the biggest risk factors that we always, consider is loan contingencies, right? And, when you do a lot of business, you understand the dynamics. When that 21-day mark hits, are we good to go when it comes to releasing the loan contingency? Because that's the last layer, right? The last layer that ultimately puts the buyer in limbo and also in a risk factor. If the buyer cannot perform, the buyer cannot get qualified, and the buyer has released all contingencies, including the loan, then they're exposing their earnest deposit. So let me ask you this, Gerry, in your personal experience doing so many units of sales in the last several years, how do you tackle on those loan contingencies? Are you constant communication with the lender and saying, hey, Fernando, what's the status? So give us just a quick little rundown of what you do when you're preparing, being proactive, I guess, before that, 21-day mark hits.
Well, the key is communication, right? Most listing agents, if you're communicating with them along the way, this is where we are, this is where we are, if we have any challenges, I mean, there's bound to be some challenges that come across, right? But the key thing is to be fruitful in communicating with them. Most people will just keep quiet, and there are times they send me an email and my team do not respond. I don't like that. Even if I look at my email in the middle of the night, like, wait a minute, this agent requests a question. Why come nobody answer? I will make a response right away. So it's if you're showing people you are doing right the way you're supposed to do right, then people are much more willing to work with you. We had a buyer that would close, and actually with Fernando too, that she refused to release a loan contingency because she's been in 2 different escrows where she couldn't get qualified. So she doesn't trust that any lending person can get it done. And Fernando had it right. You know, he had it. It's like, hey, I got this thing done. And so I just had to stay communicating with that agent and say, listen, I'm really sorry. This is my buyer's experience, but we've got it done. This, you know, this lender's got everything, you know, in place. And I mean, that was a tough one because she refused to sign a loan contingency.
She did release contingency when the loan funded. She did release it then.
Yeah.
When the loan funded.
Loan funded, she signed. She's like, here, I'm done. No, but Gerry, you know, I'll tell you one thing, and that's something we've done in the past a handful of times, is when there's a challenge or the listing agent gets involved, he'll tell you, I'm not afraid of, hey, let's get the client on a 3-way call. Let's get the listing agent on a 3-way call. Let's find a solution to the problem. And let's, stick to what we say. That's what's important. So if we say, hey, I think this is the way to go, or this is the expectation to close, obviously, the best thing to do is to stick to that and deliver, not come back again with, oh, sorry, that didn't work because I didn't check it out first. And, let's do that. So it's important to deliver on what you say, or don't say anything and then get back to them with something you can deliver with. That's very important.
Awesome. Thank you, Gerry. Thank you, Fernando. Same question to you, Louis. I mean, the question, and I'll generalize it. When you are at that finish line, when it comes to releasing the loan contingency, what's your approach? Because then that if it's a savvy listing agent, right, they're going to be counting those days and they're going to be asking you to release that contingencies. How's your approach? What's your pitch? And then how are you in communications with your lender?
Well, I guess let me preface with saying that prior to even getting into escrow, Fernando and I are really good about going through the file, like with a fine-tooth comb, and making sure that once we do get to that loan contingency, that we're not going to have any issues. Obviously, things come up, right? We had one where a client of ours got married, and it was an FHA deal, and now, her credit needed to be counted. It was a whole thing, but we got to the finish line. But yeah, I think it's very important to look at the whole file from the very beginning to make sure that everything's going to be okay. And then as we get to those dates, those benchmarks, keeping in constant communication with Fernando, making sure that everything's still on the up and up. And once that date hits, that we're going to feel good about releasing. And there has been times that we would even release it early just because we're so confident and everything looks good. And just to appease the listing agent and make them feel, that the deal's going right, we'll release it early.
Yeah, because that's always the anxiety that I feel from a listing agent. They're so adamant about that loan contingency and releasing that, like if that's going to change or make it. I mean, I've dealt with loan contingency closing without ever releasing the loan contingency.
Yeah.
But then I've had situations similar to what you're saying, Louis, where the buyer and the buyer's agent release it even days prior to the 21st day of contingency release. Yeah. And then there's times the risk factor, obviously releasing loan contingency from the very beginning, that again would be something dramatic, but that's if you have a well-qualified, strong down payment and does not feel that there's going to be any major issues, then you can definitely release it.
We've done deals with these contingencies up front, right? I mean, we're in such a wild market that we have to get very, very creative with how we're presenting these offers. And like you said, it's not always about the highest dollar amount. It's how the offer looks, as an entirety. And so, yeah, whether it's completely releasing the loan contingency, which sometimes it makes me a little uncomfortable, but most of the time it's even just dropping. Instead of 21 days, maybe we can do 15, and it just gives that extra bit of power to the offer.
And I'll tell you guys right now, especially for those of you that don't quite have as much experience as others out there, there's definitely a game being played out there, and it puts my team under tremendous pressure because it's so competitive when it comes to writing these offers, and especially if you're one of the ones that maybe rises to the top, and the listing agent's like, hey, you're one of 3 or one of 4 that we're entertaining, we really like it. But what people are doing out there, which is, I'm not telling you what you should or shouldn't do, is they're saying, okay, we're releasing the loan contingency, we're releasing the appraisal contingency. We just need 10 or 12 days for our inspections, and that's it. And then they're making us do an appraisal in like 24 hours. I mean, the client's paying for super rush fees, getting it in, because that's what they're hinging on. They're saying, okay, if the appraisal comes in or it's close, we're in. But if not, we're bowing out, and we're going to use our inspection contingency to bow out, not anything else. So it puts tremendous pressure on us. Yes, you know, we deliver at times on that, of course, but I don't, you know, obviously I'm not a fan of it because it puts tremendous pressure on us to just slam everybody and get everything in. But I get it too. It's just that competitive of a market, you know. So it's sort of like a, you know, a tale of two cities there.
To Fernando's point, I think it's really important. And we have to look at this as we're all a team, right? It's not just myself as an agent or whoever's on my team. It's Fernando, it's his team, it's everybody that's going to make this offer work. And you know, whether we're doing a quick escrow, a quick turnaround, and putting that pressure on Fernando, I think it's our responsibility as well to make sure that all of those documentations for the buyer, everything's up to date, right? So the latest tax returns, latest pay stubs, latest bank statements, all of that stuff is up to date. If we're going to put pressure on our lender, he's going to deliver for us. And I think it's really important that we also deliver for them.
Absolutely. That's a good point, because it shouldn't be just upon the lender to gather that information. You as the agent need to be involved in those communications too as well. Hey, have you sent the tax return from 2019? You know, did you send your pay stubs? Stuff of that nature to really propel the buyer, to push the buyer, because again, look at what we're dealing with right now. You know, it's a frenzy that we're seeing right now. So it's a good point. So thank you, Louis. Another question I have, and I'm going to throw it back to Gerry. Gerry, how do you handle when you do get a notice to perform to release loan contingency?
Well, you got 48 hours, right?
You do have 48 hours.
Again, everything, just, it's all communication, right? And if you can't over communicate, and you can only under communicate. So if you get a notice to perform, I mean, you got to step up the gear and see what issues that needs to be resolved, and be heads on. Don't duck the whaler. You know, just get on it and talk. Fine. It's always communications. It's always, anytime there's a problem in escrow, it's because there was a communication breakdown. So either your lender is not communicating with you, or your client is not communicating with you. Sometimes, you know, like Louis is talking about, you know, a client went and got married, like really? Or they went to go charge credit card when their DTI was already very tight. So, but if once you can get to the source of the problem, then you can work your way into resolving the issue. So it's just, you know, stay in communication. When find out what's wrong, what do you need to do, and work with the listing agent. If you're representing a buyer, communicate with the listing agent. Once they know that you are, I mean, I have a deal right now. I spoke to the agent last night, where the dog's supposed to be out, and she said, Gerry, I'm going to send you a notice to perform. And I appreciate it, but here's what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And you let them know what that is. And she didn't send a notice to perform because it was good communication. She understand, okay, this is what's happening. In order for the lender to issue the CD, this got to go through. You know, so it's just, it's not, be willing to communicate, be willing to be part of the process. Yes, it's great to have a great lender like Fernando on your side, who's on top of it. And I really love his team too. You know, it's, when you call in, you don't even have to reach Fernando. You can reach Erica, Vina, you know, and they'll still communicate with you what needs to be done, what needs, you know, to complete, and you'll get that going.
Awesome, thank you, Gerry. I'm going to throw this back at you now, Louis. When it comes to loan contingent, notice to perform, releasing that loan contingency, how does your approach look like?
Same. I think Gerry said it perfectly. It's all about communication. I learned the hard way very early on in my career. I think it might have been even my first deal, very green. And I got served with a notice to perform, and I didn't communicate properly with the listing agent. The deal ended up working out, but you know, I feel like I almost kind of tarnished that relationship with that listing agent because I wasn't communicating. And ever since then, whether it's I'm ahead of the game, you know, time wise, or I'm behind, I'm constantly keeping that agent up to date. You know, I'm in a deal right now with Kim Donor, and you know, every step of the way, I've been texting her, "Hey, this is where we're at." I almost feel like I'm annoying her at this point, but you know, you can't over communicate, but you can under communicate. So I think it's all about you know, just letting everyone know what's going on, making sure that everyone's on the same page. And truth be told, the listing agents, they want to get the deal done too. You know, so once you're in escrow and if there's a speed bump, they're willing to work with you 9 times out of 10. They want to get the deal closed just as much. So as long as you're honest and open with them, I think it's all going to be good.
Awesome. Thank you, Louis. Yeah, I mean, you're working with a very diligent, very professional Kim Donor, phenomenal agent. So I know she's on top of her game too when it comes to these conditions. And if you're not up to par, and this is again for anyone that's seasoned or new to the business, is communication is the cure to all problems. Because what if you don't have very good communication, right? And now you're asking for an extension to release the loan contingency, but because you don't have that dialogue with the listing agent, they can be adamant and say, well, the seller says they're not giving you the extension. So building that relationship from the very beginning will alter your position when you need it. It's like that carrot in front of the camel, right? The camel will follow that carrot as long as it's in front of it. You need to be 2 steps ahead of the game. If you know that loan contingency is coming up in 24, 48 hours, you need to be on top of your game, having conversations with the lender, but more so with the buyer too, because the buyer is the ultimate decision maker. That makes that decision to release that as a condition, because it's not our deposit, right? It's the buyer's deposit. And the buyer may be perfectly fine to release it, even though they may not have the conditions. But as long as you educate and give them the risk factors, the pros and cons, then it's really the buyer's decision. Well, and I'm gonna ask this to Louis. Have you ever had a conversation with the buyer where the buyer says, well, Louis, what would you do in my case?
Yes, quite often. And I throw it right back at them.
Very good.
Yeah, but yeah, it's tough. You know, it's hard for us to make that decision for them. You know, we wrote a couple offers last night where our clients were asking us, you know, what would you offer? I can't make that decision for you, right? Your offer is purely on motivation, what you can afford, what you're comfortable with. And while I don't know if that certain number will win the offer, I can't tell you to offer more, right? I mean, I can give you all of my professional advice, and you run with that. So yeah, I rarely give them what I think I should do, and I really kind of try to leave it on them.
Yeah, you basically want to bounce it back at them, you know, especially at the home stretch when that, you know, that part where you have to release the loan contingency, right? Yeah. And now you're being pressured by the listing agent. An example, let's say Kim Donor saying, hey, you know what, because there's some agents that are very active, you know, and there's some agents that are very passive. Yeah. Meaning the active agents are probably sending you that notice to perform 2 days prior to the 21st, where there's some agents that are very passive. They don't even bother, and you just kind of struggle away and pass that 21 day mark, 25th mark, and before they say, oh gosh, you know what, we haven't asked the buyer to release that as a condition, right? Right. Now it's always, you know, arming yourself and making sure that that dialogue and that communication is with the lender, because this is a question now to Fernando. You know, when a notice to perform is given to the buyer's agent, you know, now it's really the momentum that the lender needs to know: are these buyers solid? Are these buyers okay? You know, but
like Gerry said, and even Louis, it's communication, guys, because a lot of times, you know, maybe we have everything fully approved, the appraisal's in, it's fine, but we're waiting for the mortgage insurance company to sign off on it. So we really, you know, sometimes I'm like, well, it's always nice to just make sure we have that last bit before you release contingencies, just in case something comes up. But if you communicate that to the listing agent and they know that, hey, look, this is all we're waiting on. It typically takes 24 to 48 hours, but the underwriter's already approved everything. The appraisal's already been signed off and the value's fine. There's no repairs or whatever. They're going to feel pretty good about it and, you know, be okay giving you a few days just to get that last bit in and then release contingencies. It's when you're hiding. I'll tell you right now, for those of you that don't, if you're in a transaction, let's just say it's your listing. So you accepted an offer from an agent that you may or may not know, from a lender you may or may not know. But the minute the lender is not communicating and he's hard to reach and he's not communicating and he's hard to find, that's a red flag. You already have a problem with your file. Odds are it's a massive struggle and there's probably something there that's going to prohibit it from getting it done unless some major modification goes into it, which obviously causes delays, right? Because now they're adding co-signers and all kinds of things. And that's, so definitely in terms of when you're on the listing side, in fairness to your seller, just make sure that you vet the lenders and make sure that, you know, that you feel that what they're saying is with great confidence and experience, because it's going to make you look bad in front of your seller later when things are not performing accordingly.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
When a transaction ends on a sour note, very hard to ask for more referral business or future business from that person.
And not so much, you know, referral business. I think we work in a very small, you know, market, and you know, there's a lot of the top producers, the people who are constantly coming out with listings. You're going to see their name pop up over and over and over, right? And if you're writing multiple offers, chances are that you're going to work with that agent again. So you want to make sure that you keep that good reputation with that agent, and you don't leave you know, a sour taste in their mouth for the next one.
Awesome. Good stuff. Yeah. I mean, I have to agree with all of you, you know, that communication is crucial. Now, you know, the other thing that I respect is when a lender is willing to step up the game and actually reach out to the listing agent, because I've seen it and I've heard it. I mean, I deal with so many transactions just within our office with agents, and you know, the lack of communications, radio silent from the lender. And, you know, when you need them the most, that is the frustration that we see a lot. So, you know, having a lender that definitely is rolling up their sleeves, right? And that's okay. Let me make that initial call with the listing agent and explain, because who better can provide the initial reason of why we need an extension, why we need to delay the release of a condition, why are we delaying on closing? Because you know, typically we do a 30-day escrow, but what if we need another 3-4 days to close? Who better can converse and properly provide that information? It's the lender, right? The lender can. So getting your lender involved and engaged will also give you that upper advantage that will help you close more deals. So.
Just to put a little bit to that, Fernando is really, really good at that. Calling, you know, either the other agent on the other side and say, hey, we got this thing and we're going to get this thing done in so time. Or, you know, calling even your buyer. If you had a buyer, I remember I had a buyer that we got accepted into escrow, and, you know, he called the buyer and, you know, trying to get everything on the buyer, and he coming back and said, Gerry, no, this buyer is like really flat. I don't know if this buyer is going to be able to move forward. And sure, I had that call with the buyer, and we canceled. Rather than wasting my time, you know, digging a dirt that you're not going to close. So I love that, because he made the effort to contact the buyer and just, you know, get the inside of the buyer, like, okay, and that buyer was just not fully motivated. I pushed her along to that level. She made the offer, but she's not all hands on deck. And it was, you know, a good save of my time, you know, wasted. So it's great to have. I love him for that. You know, it's never, you know, in all like, oh, I need to call this person. Okay, let me call them right away. And boom, get on the phone with them and make sure the communication goes through the other side, either it's your client or the other agent on the other side. I think that's really great.
Awesome, thank you, Gerry. Okay,
there's a question there for Gerry on the chat.
Yeah, Gerry. So one of the questions is coming from Marius. Info on possible fluctuation of interest rate.
That's
Maybe
the next one.
Marius, maybe you can explain it a little bit better. I'm not sure of the question there.
Yeah, how does that impact any fluctuation, any changes in interest rates, percentage-wise in your experience? How has that affected the process of qualification and escrow closure?
Okay.
Well,
Well, I think
go ahead, Gerry.
Go ahead, Gerry.
dealing with a good lender, they most of the time when they give you a pre-approval, it's usually a little bit above the market rate, and they know they have room to do more. So if it's within that 30-day, 45-day ratios, I think you should be fine when you're dealing with the right kind of lender. So if you deal with a lender that give you the maximum you can get on that buyer, and then the rate goes up a little bit, and then the buyer is out of qualification. You know, usually when you get into escrow, the first thing they want to know is, okay, is the rate at a great place where it needs to be? And I remember a locked rate for me. By the way, we've been around for more than 6 months, my man. I remember a locked a locked rate for a buyer. It was a probate sale, and set up the extension because he knows the probate before we get the paperwork, the letters, and all that stuff to come in. And the rate was really good. By the time those people closed, the market was already up 0.25% higher. But they were able to be locked in at that rate because he knew that was a good rate at that time. And till today, those buyers are still, matter of fact, I think they're calling him for a refi right now. So yeah, it's really good to working with the right lender that knows the market, knows the temp of the market. When I mean the temp, the temperature of the market, is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? So they can lock it in when they need to lock it in. I think that's very good.
And what I will tell you guys, just in general, this is more of an economic overview. The market is trying to find its path with the $1.9 trillion stimulus deal that is basically soon to be passed. Okay, so the reality is, be it political or not, it is political, guys. And the reality is this kind of money that the government wants to put forth and throw out into the markets is way too much. And that's just the bottom line. And if you hear, not the politicians, but if you go on CNBC and watch in the morning and listen to their economist, or Fox Business and listen to those economists, or Bloomberg and listen to those economists, the I word, which is what really gets rates jacked up, inflation, is all over their speeches when it comes to this type of stimulus package that is going to be unleashed. So something just for you to be aware of as we move forward in time, that there is going to more than likely be inflationary pressures on the market with this, and also some other things that are happening politically, and rates are going to go up. It's just that simple. It is what it is. I mean, we've hit the bottom already, and now it's time to go the other way. I mean, I'll tell you right now, when I started 25, 26 years ago, we were in the 9s, and I've seen it go from the 9s all the way down to the historic lows. And I think now we're on a trend going the other way, over time. Keep in mind, it took 25 years to get from 9 to 2, right? So who's to say how long it'll take, but it's definitely going to be on the rise. It's unfortunately, I think that definitely money needs to be spent to help a lot of small businesses and people that are hurting, but 1.9 trillion is not what needs to be spent. More around 700 to 800 billion is what needs to be spent, because what most people don't realize, and this is why the economists are flipping out, is that there is still $1 trillion of unused funds from the Trump administration's package, and they want to throw 2 more in. So 1 + 2 is 3. And they're like, wait a minute, that is nuts. So we keep forgetting that there's $1 trillion of unused funds, and that's why the economists are going berserk. Yep.
Awesome. Very cool. Good information. Thank you, Fernando. All right, I'm gonna open it up to anyone that has any more questions to the 2 phenomenal agents and Fernando. Any questions from our group here? Because remember, there is some gift cards here, guys. So it's going to
There's
be.
some questions in the box here. I see it says, Gary, how do you handle VA's challenges and win it?
Oh, I have. How come I don't see that? Hold on.
And there's another one that just popped up. As a listing agent, what are some good questions to ask a lender to vet them before you accept an offer?
Okay, let's go with the first one. I think I see it here now. Thank you, Fernando. So Gary, it says, how do you handle VA challenges and win?
Well, I think when you consider challenge, that's a mindset that probably needs to shift right there. A VA is not a challenge. It's a good loan, and it's a great loan for the buyer. These are for people that have serviced the country, and the government is giving them a really good program to buy a house. So sometimes we just got to shift our mind, and things shift along with us. So if you're when I have a VA buyer, when I call the listing agent and say, listen, I've got a great buyer for you. This is someone that's, served us together and put their life on line. I want you to make sure you present this to your seller that way. And, if somebody call me up and tell me that, guess what? That buyer is at the top of my list right there. So it's really just changing the mindset and knowing that that's a great loan to do, and that's a great person to serve, and to help them get a home. They've served the country. Hell, they deserve their own part of the American dream.
Most people want to help the veterans, guys. If you present it the right way, they want to help veterans for sure.
I couldn't agree more. To echo what
You'd be surprised. Some sellers might be veterans, so that's closer to their heart than a regular offer.
Yeah, it's just how you package everything together, right? I mean, a VA loan, just because they might be coming in with 0 down, they still have FICO scores that they have to work with, right? Jobs that they, employment. So it's how you package the whole deal. I think a VA loan is an incredible product, helping amazing people, and that's how you have to present it. They're just as good as buyers as someone coming in 50% down.
Just so that the only pitfall of a VA deal or VA offer, or the only thing that VA requires, which can be a challenge in this market, but anybody can pay for it, is that you need a full termite. Sections 1 and 2 have to be completed. Obviously, that's not the norm in this market because nobody wants to pay for anything, but the buyers can pay for it. That's fine. They can get the clearance, and then the loan moves forward, and that's fine.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. The next question goes to both Louis and Gary. And this is from Max. So as a listing agent, what are some of the good questions to ask the lender when they are, the lender before you get the offer accepted? So we'll go with Gary.
Well, I was thinking maybe Louis when I answer that, and then I can come back.
Yeah, sure. Great question.
Okay, thanks.
It's employment and ratios. I'm not too concerned about down payment because if the entire package looks fine, if they're coming in with 10% or 25%, truth be told, it's a little irrelevant to me. It's more so what do their ratios look like, and employment. Are they 1099? Are they W-2? If they're 1099, how long have they been 1099? What do their returns look like? And what are those ratios? Are they super tight, or do we have room to budge should an appraisal issue come up or something unforeseen? So those are the big things for me.
Have you ever thought of becoming a lender, Louis?
No way.
Good information. I mean, that's very important, right? To know how to screen and dissect these offers that come in, not just something that you're just sugarcoating. You want to get to the meat and potato and make sure that this buyer is fully able and capable of closing the deal. Awesome. Thank you, Louis. Are you good now, Gerry? Can you give me some feedback on that question?
I think you just want to, if you're calling in, if they have a DU approval, I would speak to the lender. If they're really confident, you'll see the confidence come true. It's all in the tonality. If they're shaky, you'll feel that too. So usually when I talk to a lender and like, hey, how's this buyer? You got a DU, and if what I get out of them is good, I know it's good. And when you know it's something shaky, you can feel that in the tonality. You just gotta listen to more than what they're saying. Listen well, and you'll know if that's a buyer you want to go with or not.
Awesome, good stuff, Gerry. Okay, next question is from Yolanda, and I think this might be a question directing to Fernando. Are there any creative ways to stay connected to your lender if you don't have an active client in front of you?
Peers. No, I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, I've got, you know, relationships and friends of mine, you know, that have become friends that are realtors, and we may not have anything going right now. I spoke to one today that we may not have any, we haven't really anything going on. We haven't done anything in probably 90 days. But she reached out to me out of the blue about a question, and, you know, and then by the way, just because of that, we realized that, hey, wait a minute, we haven't followed up with there's one client in particular that's hot, or, you know, getting warmed up, I should say. And so great opportunity to say, hey, Fernando, give her a quick text or call, and I'm going to push her too, just to get her moving. So, yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it could be many reasons. I mean, I've got, everybody does business differently, guys. So I have a good overview of, you know, hundreds of different people that just do it a different way. And there's no right way or wrong way, just whatever works for you. But I've got certain realtors that, you know, like they want to do videos with me and just say, hey, you know, I want to start this campaign, and I know you're pretty savvy with loans. Do you mind, you know, doing something, you know, let's beta test it and I'll put it out to my people. I'm like, all right, fine. You know, if you're comfortable with it, I'll, you know, I'll help you out. I'll do it with you. Yeah, there's just all kinds of ways. I mean, just the key is find somebody that you trust, find somebody that you feel is a good match, not only for you, but for your clients, and somebody that delivers for you, and you're going to be fine. You know, you're going to be in good hands all the way through.
Awesome. Well, you got the thumbs up from Yolanda on that question, Fernando, so thank you. Okay, cool. Any other questions before we wrap it up? That was a quick hour. I can't believe it went super quick. It went quick for me, so I don't know how everyone feels. But any final questions before we raffle these gift cards? Okay, we got another question here. How often should you be in contact with the lender at the preliminary stage with your client? Anyone want to answer that question?
I'll take that one.
Okay.
I think, you know, Fernando and I joke around. I call Fernando quite a bit. I talk to Fernando more than I do anyone else in my life. But, you know, I'm in constant contact with him. Right after a buyer's agent, hey, just want to give you a heads up. This is the meeting I just had with so-and-so. This is how I went. I kind of give him a breakdown of what he's to expect. And then, you know, he takes it from there. But I definitely keep in constant contact with Fernando, even if I have a prospective buyer or, you know, questions that I may have for him from that buyer, I'm in constant contact with him. So I think it's never too early to start talking to your lender about a potential client.
Absolutely. Thank you. Anyone else? Cool. All right. Any other questions before we sign off, guys? Are you guys?
Got to determine who's gonna win this $100.
Yeah, who's gonna win?
Let's start off with the $25 gift card. So I'm going to give you 5 seconds, guys. 5 seconds to show your face, and then whoever in the 5 seconds shows their face, you know, I have either Louis or Gerry give that gift card of $25. So you got 5 seconds. I don't want to see just the picture or your name. I want to actually see your face. So I see Max, I see Marius, I see Miguel. Who else? 1, 2, 3, 4. Hope is on there. 5. All right, for a $25 gift card to Starbucks, Louis.
Yes, sir.
Who do you want to give?
Hold on. Am I picking someone that asked a question or just someone in the?
Whoever you want of the 4 that just popped their face. You know, Max, maybe Max for being on here. Marius, Miguel, or Hope. I'm giving it up to you. Whoever you want out of those 4.
I'm going with Hope.
All right, Hope.
All right.
All right, Hope, you got yourself a $25 gift card, okay? It'll be here at the office. Just come and see either Natalie or Linda to get you your gift card.
Thanks.
Awesome, thank you. All right, and then for a $50 gift card, let's go with one of the questions. Which one do you thought was the good question?
I'll let
Gerry?
Yeah, one of the best questions that was asked with the panelists.
Am I choosing?
Let's go with Gerry.
Well, the one question the gentleman asked about, I'm trying to remember the details of it, but I saw his face at that time regarding, what do you do with the, if the interest rate is not locked or something like that?
Was that Marius, I believe?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it was Marius. All right, so are you saying that Marius is the winner of the $50 gift card?
Yes.
All right. All right, Marius, you got yourself a $50 gift card. So again, it's here at the office for you. All
I
right,
see it.
guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the grand finality, I have the $100 gift card. And again, we definitely want to thank Fernando Diaz for providing the gift card. So for a $100 Amazon gift card, what should it be, guys? I'm going to leave it up to Fernando, Lewis, and Gerry to make that decision. What do you want to throw? Do you want to throw a question? Or do you want to challenge one of the questions here and say, look, here's the question that I think should get it? I'm going to leave it up to the three to make that determination and who is going to get this $100 gift card.
Well, I personally, Gerry, you want to go?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Lewis.
Okay, I think it's really important. I mean, I like what Max asked, as a listing agent, what are some good questions to ask a lender? And I think sometimes that gets overlooked. I think it's super important as a listing agent to vet the buyer as much as possible. And vetting that buyer means talking to that lender and vetting that lender as well. How long has the lender been in the business? How many deals have they done, right? So we want to make sure that the deal is going to go through. And I think a lot of that has to do with vetting the buyer as much as possible and the lender. So personally, I think Max Wright asked a great question. That's my pick.
All right. Thank you, Lewis. All right. So does anyone disagree with that?
Well, I kind of like the person that incites the energy, which was the last question about VA. I thought that question incite energy that came from all the panels. So that's my thinking as the best question.
All right, we got two people with different opinions, guys. So now it's a coin toss.
Fernando?
Max and who was the other person that gave that? Was it Yolanda, I believe? Yeah,
That was only Simon.
Oh my gosh, it was Yona. So it's between Max and Yona, guys. All right.
Actually, Elise.
Elise, I'm sorry. Okay. I just keep seeing Yona pop up with the yellow. So Elise, okay. So it's between Max and Elise, guys, for a $100 gift card. So
I think Fernando should be the tiebreaker here.
There you go, Fernando.
Well, I kind of looked at these questions. I mean, I liked what Lewis said about Max's, question. Is it Yolanda Dawson? Where's the other one here? Hang on.
Yolanda was one. Elise was the other.
It was Max and Elise.
So it's between the two right now, Elise and Max. So
let's go with Max.
Boom.
I like this question. There you go.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. That was exciting.
Yeah, pretty cool, man. Can we share this?
Max was getting nervous.
Simon wants a piece of that. So you guys
I want a
figure it
little
out.
piece of the Amazon $100. I think we could go 50-50 on this, Max.
Yeah.
All right. So congratulations to all the individuals that won the gift cards. Great gift cards. So thank you again, Fernando, for sponsoring. Good stuff, guys. And again, thank you to the panelists. Gerry, awesome job. Louis, phenomenal job as well. And again, it's really just pouring into you, giving you some ideas, some thoughts, and how to, have conversations amongst each other, but more so the conversations with your peers and your lender as well. So I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see you on the next one.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Bye now.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Congrats.